Welcome to today's reflection for Advent. It is the fourth Sunday in Advent, and this morning we lit the fourth candle on the wreath in church. Advent, as we have said time and time again, is about waiting and watching. It's also about journey. We have been journeying together through Advent towards Christmas. We're going to talk a bit more about journeying this evening. Many of you will have seen my stole in church, my purple stole that I wear for Lent and Advent. And sometimes I show the children in school, and they're surprised that I use it for Christmas and for Easter. And I show them the journey on it when the road joins up. The journey that takes Jesus from all creation, the stable in Bethlehem, and all the way to the cross in Jerusalem. And there's a story I like to tell with children to explore that journey. And I'm going to share it with you this evening. It's from a type of storytelling called godly play. You just have to sit and listen and wonder as you go. In the beginning, a baby was born. God chose Mary to be mother of God. Listen carefully. Listen to the words. God chose Mary to be the mother of God, and the Word was born, a wordless child. When the baby looked up into the face of the mother, Mary, he already saw the cross. When he looked into the face of the father, Joseph, the cross was there too. The mother Mary and the father Joseph held the baby very close. They kept the baby warm. They gave the baby everything the baby needed to grow, and it began to grow. The baby grew and became a boy. When he was about 12 years old, he went with the mother Mary and the father Joseph, and with many other people from their village of Nazareth, to the great city of Jerusalem, to keep one of the high holy days. When the celebration was over, the people from Nazareth went out through the great high gate and started on the road toward home. Suddenly, Mary and Joseph discovered that Jesus was not there. They thought he had been playing with the other children from their village as they walked together. They hurried back into the great city of Jerusalem to find him. Mary and Joseph looked in the dark and narrow streets. They looked in the marketplace where they had bought their food. They looked where they had spent the night. They looked everywhere. Finally, they even looked in the temple, and there he was. He was talking to the rabbis, the priests. When he spoke, they listened because he knew so much. When they spoke, he listened because he wanted to learn more. Mary and Joseph then asked Jesus the question all parents ask their children, the question you can never answer. Why did you do this? And Jesus said something very strange. He said, "Didn't you know I would be in my Father's house?" Mary and Joseph did not understand. Their house was in Nazareth, where Joseph's carpenter shop was. They did not understand, but they did not forget. Jesus grew and became a man. When he was about 30 years old, he went to the river Jordan, where his cousin John was baptizing people. Do you see John? You can just see the back of his head. He was a wild man. Jesus waded into the river until he was face to face with John, and he said, "Baptize me." John looked at Jesus as if for the first time. Now he saw who he really was. "How can I baptize you? You are the Messiah, the one we have been waiting for. You must baptize me." "No, it is written that you will come before me and prepare the way. Baptize me," said Jesus. Jesus went down into the dark and chaos of the water. And when John lifted him back up into the light, there were people there who said they saw a dove come down from heaven and come close to him. There were also people there that day who heard a voice. The voice said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." After Jesus was baptized, he went on across the river Jordan into the desert. He stayed there for 40 days and 40 nights to learn more about who he was and what his work was going to be. Jesus went into the desert to discover more about who he was and what his work was going to be. He was there for 40 days and 40 nights. There was little to eat or drink. One day, he heard a voice. It said, "Why don't you turn one of these stones over there into bread and have something to eat?" Jesus said, "No, to be a real human being, we need more than just bread to eat." Suddenly, it was as if Jesus were on top of the great temple in Jerusalem. The voice came back. "If you are really the Son of God, why don't you jump and see if God sends the angels to catch you before you hit the stones below?" Jesus said, "No, we do not need to test God." Then it was as if Jesus could see all the kingdoms of the world. The voice came back again. "If you will follow me, I will make you king over all these kingdoms." Jesus said, "No, I am to be a king, but not that kind of king." Then the voice went away. Jesus went back across the Jordan and began to do his work. But what was his work? His work was to come close to people, especially the people no one else wanted to come close to. See, he has come close to this blind man. He is so close that he has touched the blind man's eyes. When Jesus came close to people, they changed. They could see things they could never see before. They could do things they could never do before. They became well. Jesus also told parables. Finally, he knew that he had to become a parable. So he turned towards Jerusalem for the last time. It was the time of the Passover, and the city was full of people from many different lands. They thought Jesus was coming to be a king, but they weren't paying attention. He wasn't riding on a white horse when he came into the city. He wasn't being carried by soldiers. He was riding on a donkey, and it wasn't even his. He had borrowed it. Still, that Sunday, when Jesus came into Jerusalem, people waved palm branches, which were a sign of kings. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Jesus went into the temple to teach. Every night he went back to the Mount of Olives with the 12. The people watched him and whispered that the Mount of Olives was where angels were supposed to come down to make an army to drive away the Roman soldiers. One day, when Jesus was teaching in the temple, he said, "Do you see that old woman over there? She's going to put something in the money box. Listen, do you hear anything? No, she has put the smallest coin there is in the box. That was all the money she had. Now here comes a rich man. He has so much money to put into the box that he had to have help to carry it. His money makes a huge clanging and ringing as they pour it into the box. Now, I wonder, which one really gave the most, the old woman or the rich man?" Some said the rich man gave the most. Some said the old woman. The temple guards said, "On Thursday we will take him." But on Thursday they could not find him. That evening, Jesus and the 12 hurried through the dark streets to a house. They climbed up the stairs to an upper room and shared their Last Supper together. After they had everything they wanted to eat, Jesus took some bread and gave thanks to God for it. Then he broke it and said something like, "Whenever you break bread like this and share it, I will be there." He also took a cup of wine, gave thanks to God for it, and said, "Whenever you share a cup of wine like this, I will be there." What's he talking about? He was always saying things like that. How could they know? Still, they did not forget, and later they would understand. Suddenly Judas got up and left. The rest sang a hymn, and then went to the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives. Jesus wanted to pray. When he finished, he joined the 12. But Judas came out of the dark and greeted him. This was a signal for the temple guards to take him. They too came out of the shadows and took Jesus away with them into the night. The 12 disappeared into the darkness as well. The night was a confusing one. The next day, Jesus was taken outside the walls of the city and crucified. That afternoon, Jesus died. The sky grew dark. Jesus was taken down from the cross and buried in a cave. A great stone was rolled into the opening of the cave to close it like a door. Saturday was so quiet you could almost hear the earth breathing. On Sunday, it was just the women who had the courage to go to the tomb just to be close to Jesus. They wanted to remember, even if it was sad. When they came to the tomb, they found that the stone had been rolled back and that the tomb was empty. Jesus had died on the cross, but somehow he was still with them, as he is with us, especially in the bread and wine. When you look at this side, you know that the other side is there. When you look at this side, you know that this side is there. And you cannot pull them apart. This is the mystery of Easter, and that makes all the difference. And so the colours change. Wait a minute, there's something wrong. Here's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Look, if we only have this side, the story has an end. But there is also this side. The ending is also a beginning. So we can't leave the story in a line. Let's see what we can do. Now the story can go on forever. I wonder what part of this story you like the best. I wonder what part of the story is the most important. I wonder where you are in the story. What part of the story is about you? I wonder if there is any part of the story we can leave out and still have all the story we need. But today's reflection is not just about the journey that Jesus made throughout his life. The title of today's reflection is Jesus and You. And just as Jesus journeyed through his life, so we journey through ours. Part of the godly play Wondering wonders where you are in the story. I wonder how it feels if you hold Jesus' journey up as a mirror to your own. I wonder where you are in his story and in your story together. I wonder where the parts of your stories seem familiar and where they are different. And so we have told both the Christmas and the Easter story this evening. The beginning and the end, and the beginning and the end. There is a story in the Bible that takes place on that first Easter day, when some friends are walking along a road, making a journey to Emmaus. And they find that someone is walking beside them, a stranger. And they tell him all about what has been happening over the last days in Jerusalem. He unpacks the scriptures for them. But when they reach the end of their day and they sit down to eat together, the man breaks the bread and shares the wine, and they recognize Jesus for who he is. He has been with them on the journey all of the afternoon. I wonder on your journey where you might not be recognizing Jesus. I wonder where you might look out for him this day, this week, and in the days ahead. Amen.